Imagine a world where food wasn't just about nourishment, it was about power, politics, and prestige. A single dish, crafted with the rarest ingredients on earth, could take weeks to prepare and hundreds of people to deliver. Some ingredients traveled across vast mountains and rivers, carried on horseback and in caravans, just to arrive in time for a single royal banquet. These weren't meals, they were messages, diplomatic offerings of loyalty, tributes of respect, or demonstrations of dominance from faraway provinces and foreign emissaries. Now, picture a kitchen so sacred, so meticulously guarded, that it functioned more like a fortress than a place to cook. Guards stood watch day and night. Every grain of rice was counted. Every utensil was polished to perfection. And behind its closed doors, chefs trained in the imperial arts followed ancient protocols with the precision of court scholars. And the menu? It was no simple list of courses. It was a sacred document, crafted with astrology, medicine, and ritual in mind. The wrong dish at the wrong time could offend the gods, insult an emperor, or even risk a dynasty's stability. In the imperial court, food had the power to elevate or to exile. This is not just a history of cooking. This is the extraordinary legacy of China's imperial cuisine. For more than 2 millennia, food in China held a significance far beyond taste or survival. It was never just about filling one's stomach, it was about feeding an empire's identity. Food was a language spoken by the elite, a visual display of power, a medicine for the body and spirit, and a direct line to the heavens. In a civilization where every detail carried meaning, from the color of a robe to the direction one faced during an audience, meals were no exception. It all began in the early days of the Zhou Dynasty, where the concept of dedicated palace kitchens first took shape. Even then, food was tied to ritual and divinity. Emperors were seen as the sons of heaven, and what they ate was part of their sacred duty to maintain cosmic harmony. Preparing a meal wasn't just a task, it was a rite. Ingredients were chosen with spiritual alignment in mind. Dishes were timed to the lunar calendar. And everything that touched the emperor's plate had to reflect his mandate from above. As dynasties rose and fell, from the structured elegance of the Han to the golden age of the Tang, imperial cuisine evolved, becoming more elaborate, more codified, and increasingly exclusive. By the time the Qing emperors ruled from the opulent halls of the Forbidden City, food had become something almost divine. Every meal was a performance, every flavor a political statement, and every banquet a ritual steeped in layers of symbolism and centuries of tradition. Imperial cuisine wasn't just refined, it was sanctified. Guarded by ancient laws, perfected through generations of chefs, and imbued with meanings that went far beyond the plate. Today, we embark on a journey through time into a world where every bite told a story, and every dish was steeped in centuries of ritual and reverence. We're not just talking about what the emperors ate, we're uncovering how those meals defined power, dictated behavior, and laid the blueprint for etiquette in the highest court of the land. From the way a bowl was presented to the silence required at the emperor's table, food shaped not only the stomachs but also the social hierarchy of imperial China. We'll peel back the silk curtains of history to explore the forbidden flavors, dishes so rare, so prized, they were reserved only for the divine few. These were flavors not meant for commoners, nor even for the average nobleman. We're talking about ingredients harvested from treacherous mountains, transported by royal decree, and prepared with the precision of a sacred ritual. From bear paw to bird's nest, from golden flakes to shark fin. Each dish carried meaning, intention, and often, a whisper of danger. But the story doesn't end with the fall of the last dynasty. Many of these imperial recipes, once locked behind palace gates, have echoed through generations and kitchens across China. What once was fit only for an emperor is now savored by millions, modern interpretations of ancient luxury that still carry the soul of the court. So, grab your chopsticks, whether real or imaginary, and let's step into the hallowed halls of the Forbidden City. Because the deeper you go, the more you'll realize, this isn't just a story about food. It's a story about legacy. Our story begins over 3,000 years ago, during the time of the Zhou Dynasty, an era when the foundations of Chinese philosophy, governance, and ritual were being laid brick by brick. It was here, in the solemn chambers of the early imperial courts, that the concept of palace kitchens, dedicated culinary spaces solely for the ruling elite, first took root. But these weren't kitchens as we know them. They weren't merely places to cook, they were sanctuaries of cosmic alignment. In Zhou society, the emperor wasn't just a ruler, he was the son of heaven, a living bridge between the mortal world and the divine. Everything he did, touched, or consumed had to be in harmony with the universe. And so, the meals prepared for him became a matter of spiritual significance. The ingredients selected weren't just based on taste, but on balance, yin and yang, the 5 elements, the movement of stars and seasons. A single dish could symbolize peace, health, prosperity, or military strength. Each meal was curated with the guidance of court astrologers, herbalists, and ritual specialists. Grains, meats, and vegetables were arranged in sacred proportions. Even the order in which the emperor tasted a dish followed ritual protocol, designed to maintain cosmic order and demonstrate the emperor's virtue and discipline. In short, food was not just nourishment. It was a statement of divine legitimacy. A daily ritual affirming that the emperor was in sync with heaven and earth and therefore fit to rule. And from this belief system, the legacy of imperial cuisine began to unfold. As the centuries passed and dynasties rose and fell, the role of food within the imperial court expanded far beyond the symbolic. By the time we reach the grandeur of the Han, the splendor of the Tang, and the elegance of the Song dynasties, palace kitchens had transformed into vast, intricate institutions, well-oiled machines that fused ritual, science, and bureaucracy into a culinary empire of their own. This was no longer a matter of simply feeding the emperor. It was a full-scale operation involving thousands of staff, dozens of departments, and a hierarchy as rigid as the political court itself. Official titles were granted to those who oversaw the storage, preparation, tasting, and presentation of food. From Shongshu, chief chefs, to Jianyang, inspectors, every role was codified. Chefs weren't just cooks, they were state functionaries, sworn to uphold the dignity of the throne through their knives and ladles. Meal plans were drawn up with ritualistic precision. Certain foods were only permitted during specific seasons, lunar phases, or ceremonial events. The emperor's breakfast on the winter solstice was not the same as what he would be served during the spring festival or an ancestral rite. The menus reflected agricultural rhythms, Taoist beliefs, Confucian principles, and medicinal theories interwoven like a tapestry of cosmic order. What emerged was a duality, cuisine as both a science and an art. It was scientific in its planning, precise in its nutritional logic, and systematic in its administration. And it was artistic in its expression, each dish a reflection of regional flavor, personal taste, or political messaging. Imperial food had become more than sustenance or symbolism. It had become a tool of governance itself, a way to maintain order, assert power, and embody the very essence of the state. But it was during the Ming Dynasty that imperial cuisine entered its golden age, and with it, a revolution in how royal meals were conceived, prepared, and served. The Ming emperors, determined to consolidate their power and solidify their divine rule, brought order not only to the empire but to its kitchens. And at the heart of this transformation was the establishment of the Yushan Fang, the legendary imperial kitchen of the Forbidden City. This was no mere cooking space. The Yushan Fang was a state-run institution, an empire within an empire. It had its own bureaucratic structure, complete with ranks, specialized divisions, and rigid daily schedules. Dozens of departments oversaw everything from butchery and bakery to soup preparation and spice blending. Each department answered to a chief administrator, who in turn answered to high-ranking palace officials, because in the Ming court, even a misplaced scallion could be a political offense. Every ingredient that entered the kitchen was meticulously recorded. From exotic herbs grown in remote provinces to the freshest river fish, each item was inspected, weighed, and logged with the same care given to military supplies. Nothing entered the imperial diet by accident, everything was intentional, regulated, and aligned with both health and heaven. Cooks operated under strict protocols, following ancient culinary manuals and court-approved recipes. They weren't just preparing meals, they were conducting rituals. Dishes were timed according to the emperor's astrological chart and the imperial calendar. Meals were designed to balance yin and yang, not just in temperature or flavor, but in energy and medicinal value. To eat in the Forbidden City was to participate in a carefully choreographed dance of politics, philosophy, and nutrition. The Yushan Fang wasn't feeding a man, it was nourishing the embodiment of the state. And in doing so, it forever transformed Chinese culinary history. By the time the Qing dynasty took the throne, the final imperial dynasty in Chinese history, the imperial kitchen had become more than just an institution. It was a fortress of secrecy, protocol, and survival. With centuries of tradition behind it and the growing complexities of court politics ahead, the kitchen evolved into one of the most tightly controlled and highly guarded operations within the Forbidden City. Food, once a divine symbol and a tool of governance, was now also a matter of security. Every single ingredient, from rice grains to rare mountain herbs, was subjected to detailed inspection. Sourced through layers of tribute networks, local officials, and royal supply chains, each item was scrutinized not only for freshness and quality, but for the threat it might carry. A tainted mushroom, an unfamiliar spice, or a misidentified root could become deadly weapons in the high-stakes world of imperial power. Before any dish could grace the emperor's table, it had to pass through multiple checkpoints. Official tasters, loyal, highly trained eunuchs and kitchen overseers would sample every bite in advance. Not for flavor, but for survival. They were the final line of defense against assassination attempts, because in the shadowy politics of the court, poison was as dangerous as any sword. But danger wasn't limited to poison. In the Qing court, even a poorly selected dish could carry political implications. Serving the wrong regional ingredient, or omitting a ceremonial staple, could be interpreted as a sign of disrespect, or worse, treason. Every meal was a coded message. A bowl of rice wasn't just rice, it was a declaration of loyalty, tradition, and power. So while the emperor dined in gold-gilded halls, surrounded by opulence and elegance, his meals were a silent battlefield. Eating in the court was never just about pleasure or indulgence, it was a high-stakes ritual, where a single bite could decide a fate, and the kitchen staff wielded as much responsibility as any minister of state. In the Qing dynasty, food could make or break a dynasty. The emperor's meals weren't simply about taste or sustenance, they were carefully crafted masterpieces, rich with layers of meaning that went far beyond the plate. Every ingredient was selected with profound cultural significance and believed medicinal power, each one a symbol woven into the grand narrative of imperial authority, health, and cosmic balance. Take bird's nest soup, for example, harvested from the delicate nests of swiftlets. These translucent, gelatinous nests were treasured for their supposed ability to rejuvenate the body and enhance vitality. It was thought to nourish the lungs and skin, making it an indispensable tonic for an emperor whose well-being symbolized the health of the entire realm. Then there's shark fin, a controversial delicacy in today's world, but back then it was synonymous with prestige and power. Its rarity and labor-intensive preparation meant it was reserved for the highest tables, a true marker of imperial wealth and status. The fin's texture was prized as much as its symbolic meaning, firm, yet delicate, embodying strength balanced with grace. Deer tendon, believed to grant physical strength and endurance, was another key ingredient. In traditional Chinese medicine, it was associated with reinforcing bones and muscles, fitting for an emperor who needed the vigor to govern a vast empire. Perhaps even more exclusive was bear paw, a delicacy so rare and difficult to procure that it was an unmistakable sign of royal exclusivity. The preparation of bear paw required exquisite skill, reflecting not only luxury but the emperor's dominion over nature itself. And then there were the edible gold flakes. Literally gold dust sprinkled over dishes to make the food sparkle. Gold, a metal associated with immortality and the divine, was the perfect finishing touch for meals fit for the Son of Heaven. Eating gold was believed to bestow longevity and reinforce the emperor's celestial mandate. These ingredients weren't chosen randomly or simply for their flavor. They were declarations, bold statements about the emperor's power, his health, his place in the universe. Each dish was an edible symbol of strength, balance, and the mystique that surrounded imperial rule. This was food as art, medicine, and message all at once, a sensory reminder that the emperor was no ordinary man, but a divine presence on earth. But imperial cuisine was about more than just indulgence and tradition. It was a powerful diplomatic tool, a language in its own right that communicated authority, allegiance, and prestige across vast distances. Food carried messages of loyalty and tribute, weaving together a sprawling empire and its far-flung connections through the shared ritual of the emperor's table. Governors from the furthest provinces and foreign envoys from distant lands would go to extraordinary lengths to present rare and exotic gifts, food offerings that symbolized their respect and submission to the emperor's supreme authority. Imagine the incredible logistics involved: fresh lychees, succulent and sweet, harvested from southern orchards and rushed across thousands of miles, preserved with meticulous care to arrive still vibrant and fragrant, a testament to both devotion and imperial reach. From the jungles and trading routes of Southeast Asia came the exotic and awe-inspiring elephant trunk, a delicacy that was as much about the spectacle as the flavor, a tangible sign of the empire's global connections and the emperor's unmatched status. These tributes weren't just food. They were diplomatic currency, symbols of the vast network of power and influence that radiated from the Forbidden City. Then there was the legendary Da Hong Pao tea, so precious it was literally worth more than gold. Harvested from ancient tea bushes grown in the misty mountains of Fujian, this rare tea was not just a beverage, it was a symbol of refinement, a mark of connoisseurship and elite taste, served exclusively to those within the emperor's inner circle. And from the cold, rugged northern mountains came wild ginseng, prized for its potent medicinal properties and rarity. Revered as the root of immortality, it reinforced the emperor's health and vitality, a living metaphor for strength drawn from the very earth itself. Every bite served at the imperial table was laden with meaning. Each dish was a silent but unmistakable reminder to all who tasted it, whether courtiers, foreign dignitaries, or envoys, that the emperor was the rightful bearer of the mandate of heaven, the supreme ruler ordained by cosmic order. Through these exquisite offerings, the vast empire was unified, politics enacted, and loyalty cultivated, all under the guise of a shared meal. Imperial cuisine was not just about feeding the body, but about nourishing a complex web of power, diplomacy, and symbolism that sustained the dynasty itself. Though the grandeur of the imperial courts has long faded into history, the legacy of China's imperial cuisine continues to thrive, its flavors carried forward through the centuries and into the modern world. These royal recipes, once reserved for emperors and their inner circles, have found their way beyond palace walls and into the hearts and kitchens of people everywhere. Take Peking duck, for example, a dish that truly embodies the spirit of imperial culinary artistry. Perfected during the Ming Dynasty, Peking duck was more than just food. It was a symbol of refinement, technique, and celebration. The painstaking process of preparing this dish, from air-drying the duck skin to roasting it in a specially designed oven, was designed to create a perfectly crispy, golden exterior while keeping the meat inside tender and juicy. Back then, the rich aroma and crackling skin would have impressed even the most discerning emperors, affirming their power through a sensory feast. Today, Peking duck has become an iconic symbol of Beijing's culinary heritage, drawing tourists and food lovers from around the globe who seek to experience this royal delicacy firsthand. The ritual of slicing the duck, wrapping it in thin pancakes with fragrant scallions and sweet bean sauce, remains as much a performance as a meal, a celebration of history, craftsmanship, and the enduring appeal of imperial flavors. What once was an exclusive luxury of the Forbidden City is now a beloved dish served in bustling city restaurants and at family tables alike. In this way, the empire's culinary legacy lives on, connecting past and present through the universal language of taste, reminding us that food is not just nourishment, but a powerful vessel of culture, memory, and identity. Another exquisite jewel in the crown of imperial cuisine is Wensi Tofu, a dish so delicate and refined that it seems almost poetic in its presentation. Often translated as silk thread tofu, this culinary masterpiece is a true tribute to the extraordinary knife skills that flourished within the imperial kitchens. Imagine tofu, an ingredient known for its subtle flavor and soft texture, transformed into an elegant tapestry of fine, silken strands. Achieving this requires the most precise and patient hands, with chefs meticulously shredding the tofu into thin ribbons so fragile they almost melt on the tongue. This was no ordinary kitchen task, it was a form of artistry, an expression of the dedication and skill demanded by the emperor's table. Wensi Tofu represents much more than culinary technique. It embodies the imperial ideals of harmony and refinement. The dish was often served in delicate broths or light sauces, allowing the tofu's texture and purity to shine through, a reflection of the balance between simplicity and sophistication prized by the court. For the chefs in the Qing dynasty, mastering Wensi Tofu was a badge of honor, demonstrating their precision, discipline, and deep understanding of ingredients. It was a culinary expression of patience and grace, an edible metaphor for the intricate protocols and elegant rituals that governed imperial life. Today, Wensi Tofu remains a beloved dish, celebrated not only for its delicate texture and subtle taste but also as a living testament to the artistry and traditions of China's imperial kitchens, where every slice and shred carried the weight of centuries of cultural legacy. Delicate and refreshing, almond tofu is a dessert that perfectly illustrates the fusion of culinary elegance with ancient Chinese medicinal wisdom, a hallmark of Qing Dynasty Imperial cuisine. Far from being just a sweet treat, this light, jello-like dessert was carefully crafted to please the refined tastes of the imperial court while also promoting health and balance. Imagine a dish that melts gently on the tongue, with a smooth, almost ethereal texture and a subtle, fragrant almond aroma. Almond tofu isn't actually tofu, but rather a silky almond-flavored jelly made from almond milk and agar or gelatin, creating a perfect harmony between softness and firmness, something both soothing and invigorating. What makes this dessert truly special is how it reflects the traditional Chinese philosophy of food as medicine. The Qing emperor's palates were sophisticated, but they were also deeply concerned with wellness and longevity. Almonds were believed to nourish the lungs, improve digestion, and provide vitality, making almond tofu not just a pleasure for the senses but a carefully chosen supplement to imperial health. In blending the art of dessert making with the science of traditional medicine, almond tofu became a symbol of how the Qing court elevated food beyond mere sustenance to something that nurtured body, mind, and spirit. It embodied grace on the plate and intention behind every bite, reflecting centuries of culinary refinement. Even today, almond tofu remains a beloved dessert across China and beyond, its delicate flavor and smooth texture a sweet reminder of the elegance and wisdom baked into the legacy of imperial cuisine. One of the most opulent and impressive dishes to emerge from the imperial kitchens is the yipping pot, a true culinary marvel originating from Huizhou, a region famed for its rich food traditions and exquisite ingredients. At first glance, it might look like a simple one-pot meal, but in reality, it's a masterpiece of layering, technique, and flavor complexity, perfectly suited for the grandeur of the imperial court. Yipping pot was transformed and elevated within the Forbidden City, where palace chefs infused it with the finest, most luxurious ingredients available. Think of tender abalone, prized for its rare and delicate texture, often called the jewel of the sea, paired with fish maw, the dried swim bladder of fish, revered in Chinese cuisine for its unique texture and high nutritional value. These premium ingredients weren't just chosen for taste, they carried deep symbolic meanings. Abalone was seen as a sign of wealth and longevity, while fish maw symbolized prosperity and good fortune. Together, layered meticulously in a large pot, these treasures combined to create a dish that was as visually stunning as it was delicious. Each layer of the yipping pot was carefully prepared. Meats, seafood, vegetables, and broths were harmonized to create a complex and luxurious flavor profile that spoke to the extravagance and sophistication of the imperial table. This dish was a celebration of regional diversity and imperial refinement, showcasing how local traditions were embraced and elevated to royal heights. In this way, yipping pot is much more than a meal, it's a symbol of the grandeur of China's imperial cuisine, a culinary tapestry woven from the best ingredients, skill, and centuries of tradition, served to honor the emperor and impress the court. What once was reserved exclusively for the emperors, meals crafted with painstaking precision, rare ingredients, and centuries of tradition, has now transcended its royal origins to become a shared cultural heritage. These dishes, born in the secretive kitchens of the Forbidden City and served amid strict protocols, have journeyed beyond palace walls to find a place at tables all across China and, indeed, the world. The transformation is remarkable. What was once a privilege of imperial power is now a timeless treasure accessible to everyone. Families gather to enjoy these flavors, chefs worldwide study and recreate these masterpieces, and food lovers savor the stories and history embedded in every bite. They serve as edible links to a rich past, a past where food was a language of authority, diplomacy, health, and artistry. These imperial dishes carry with them more than taste. They embody centuries of cultural identity, craftsmanship, and storytelling. Each recipe is a living testament to the innovation, dedication, and creativity of those who served the emperors, ensuring that this heritage is not lost but cherished and celebrated. In savoring these dishes today, we partake in a ritual that connects us to a grand historical narrative, a reminder that food is far more than fuel. It is culture, memory, and legacy passed down through generations. Now, after diving into the fascinating world of China's imperial cuisine, here's a question for you. Which one of these legendary dishes would you want to try first? Would it be the iconic Peking duck, with its perfectly crispy skin and rich, savory flavor that once dazzled emperors? Or perhaps the delicate and refreshing almond tofu, a dessert that beautifully blends culinary grace with ancient medicinal wisdom? Maybe you're curious about the mysterious Wensi Tofu, that shredded, silky tofu masterpiece that's as much a work of art as it is a dish. Each of these dishes offers a unique taste of history, culture, and imperial luxury, and we'd love to hear which one sparks your appetite the most. So drop your choice in the comments below. Let's get the conversation started. And if you've enjoyed stepping back into the royal kitchens of China with us today, don't forget to give this video a royal thumbs up. Your support helps us keep bringing these amazing food history stories to life. These imperial dishes carry with them more than taste. They embody centuries of cultural identity, craftsmanship, and storytelling. Each recipe is a living testament to the innovation, dedication, and creativity of those who served the emperors, ensuring that this heritage is not lost but cherished and celebrated. In savoring these dishes today, we partake in a ritual that connects us to a grand historical narrative, a reminder that food is far more than fuel. It is culture, memory, and legacy passed down through generations. Now, after diving into the fascinating world of China's imperial cuisine, here's a question for you. Which one of these legendary dishes would you want to try first? Would it be the iconic Peking duck, with its perfectly crispy skin and rich, savory flavor that once dazzled emperors? Or perhaps the delicate and refreshing almond tofu, a dessert that beautifully blends culinary grace with ancient medicinal wisdom? Maybe you're curious about the mysterious Wensi Tofu, that shredded, silky tofu masterpiece that's as much a work of art as it is a dish. Each of these dishes offers a unique taste of history, culture, and imperial luxury, and we'd love to hear which one sparks your appetite the most. So drop your choice in the comments below. Let's get the conversation started. And if you've enjoyed stepping back into the royal kitchens of China with us today, don't forget to give this video a royal thumbs up. Your support helps us keep bringing these amazing food history stories to life. Thanks for joining this incredible journey through imperial cuisine. Stay curious, and keep exploring the flavors that shaped history. Imperial cuisine was never simply about food on a plate. It was a living, breathing embodiment of an empire's identity, a powerful symbol of its values, beliefs, and aspirations. Every dish served in the imperial court carried layers of meaning far beyond taste or nourishment. It was a form of diplomacy, a way to impress foreign envoys and local governors alike, communicating wealth, power, and cultural sophistication without a single word spoken. These meals were also deeply ritualistic. The preparation, presentation, and consumption followed strict protocols that reinforced the social hierarchy and spiritual harmony believed essential to the stability of the empire. Eating was an act of reverence, a ceremony connecting the emperor to the heavens, the state, and his subjects. Moreover, imperial cuisine was an art form, a canvas where generations of master chefs expressed creativity, precision, and innovation. Their culinary genius was shaped not only by aesthetic beauty and taste but also by centuries-old knowledge of traditional Chinese medicine, balancing yin and yang, selecting ingredients for their healing properties, and crafting dishes that were as beneficial to health as they were delightful to the palate. In every bite, imperial cuisine echoed the wisdom of ages, the cultural identity of a vast civilization, and the relentless passion of chefs dedicated to perfecting their craft. It's a rich tapestry woven from tradition, politics, science, and artistry, a true legacy that continues to inspire and captivate us today. So, the next time you sit down to enjoy your favorite Chinese dish, whether it's a steaming bowl of noodles, crispy Peking duck, or a delicate tofu dessert, take a moment to pause and reflect. You're not simply tasting a combination of spices and ingredients. What you're experiencing is a rich, centuries-old narrative woven into every bite. You're tasting history, centuries of culture, tradition, and artistry passed down through dynasties, shaped by the hands of master chefs and the expectations of emperors. Every flavor is a whisper from the past, a connection to the grand courts of the Forbidden City, and a celebration of a civilization's culinary genius. If you're hungry for more delicious journeys through food history, don't forget to subscribe Legendary Feasts and hit that bell icon. Join us each week as we uncover fascinating stories behind the world's most iconic dishes, one bite at a time. Thanks so much for watching. And always remember, every dish tells a story. What will yours be?